Welcome back to Nunchucks training. This is lesson 2. I'm Sensei Eddie. I'll be walking you through this one today. Today we're going to do a quintessential, most important skill within Nunchucks, which is being able to swap them from one hand to the other. You'll see people do this one when you look at Nunchucks training online. And super important skill because we need to be able to change hands so we can strike a different way if we are in one sense that way, or go this way. It allows us to have both hands on and ready for opponents in different directions, but also allows us to switch hands if we need to. If we've hurt our hand and we need to change off to the other one, and also just moving from side to side. It's a very useful skill, and we're going to learn how to do that one today. But there is a couple of nuances within learning how to do this with your nunchucks. We use the training ones today, and we've got our soft nunchuck. Where we will hold our hands is really the first thing of importance. First of all, for training, and we can discuss later in this course where hand placement should go and for what reasons, but as we first start out and we're training, we could hurt ourselves, we want to learn to hold it in a safe way, right? And that means 2 inches from the end, right? So 2 inches from this top section. I always think of it as these are the tops of the nunchuck and these are the bottom. So 2 inches from that end is about right. And what that means is, and it doesn't have to be exact because it depends on your arm length, but what it means is if we're standing sideways and our elbows out like we looked at in lesson 1, as we go over, our nunchuck will land here on our shoulder. Now you would think that would hurt, and it would hurt if we hit with the chuck itself, right, with the actual wooden part of the chuck. But where we want it to land is so, and your kids can hold it like this, that it bounces here, like this. The danger part of the nunchuck is this end. That's where it's moving fast. If you think about it in moving in a circle like that, the inside's moving slow, the outside's moving fast. So even if the outside's moving fast and the inside can still be caught without it being too hard, right? But if I caught the outside, that's gonna hurt. Okay, so that is why when it comes over our shoulder, we want it to bounce, and we basically want it to bounce like that. And we're not going to be catching that nunchuck at the end, right, here, because that bit's moving fast in this circular movement. Where we're going to catch it is right up and under our armpit. If we can do that, we can bounce it like this, and you'll see that when we catch it, we're catching it right up close. And then as we go over the other side, same thing again, we can catch it right up close there. We're not going to be hitting that end. And that is why it's important not to hold it at the ends when we're first starting. You'll see people online that will say, no, you should be holding it right at the end so you got the maximum reach. And you would just be, if you're using your nunchucks, striking and then bringing it back and striking. That is sort of true. I mean, we did learn to do pegging without catching it really essentially in the first lesson. We could peg up, we could strike again. We could peg up, we could strike again. But that is slower than being able to get it here and shoot it out, right? Because you'd have to get back and forward. If we come here, boom, we can shoot that out again. So that is partly why we learn to do that, but as well, so we can change hands and we can do some sort of exciting moves. And we are self-defense based. So this is, we're learning a bit of self-defense with nunchucks, a devastating sort of self-defense weapon. But there's nothing wrong with learning the skills of doing some of the flashy stuff as well, because it actually ultimately makes us more attuned to using it, right? So we do some skill stuff, we do some self-defense things. My preference is a bit of both. It's fun to do the fun, flashy things, but it's also important to understand where they sit in context. So that is why we try to hold them 2 inches from the end, because when we get to here, we can then catch them right at the top. I'll even catch it right up there sometimes. Right, so I'm catching it right up there, right up the top, right up the top. You notice there, see I've caught it right up the top. Again, and it should be right under our armpit, right? This is hard for young kids to learn because their arms are actually in proportion shorter than their torsos than for adults, right? So they'll have to really reach across to get it there. I'm catching it right behind my arm. They'll tend to try and just catch it just in there, okay? But when they do catch it, it's at the top. If they try and just catch it at the bottom, they're gonna hurt their hands. Won't hurt too much because we've got these rubber nunchucks, but that's where we want to do it. And to practice this, we should be starting in our start position. So if we go back into our bow, nunchucks in our left, or in our right hand I should say, it's going to be the opposite for you guys. I usually use the opposite so the kids match me, so I'm usually on the left, but it's actually going to be on your right hand. We're going to have our right hand nunchucks, bow. We're going to step out as we do into our ready stance, and then we turn our hand in and towards us, and that will get it to the side like this. The other one follows over. So if you're watching here, this hand will come in the middle like that, in towards the middle, yeah, in towards the middle and over our shoulder. The other one just follows over. So in towards the middle, the other one follows over. That's where we get to our start point. We're also in our slightly bent leg, Dutch or parallel stance. You notice my feet are both parallel. Yeah, we're starting there. Then to switch over, we simply drop the top of it and we flick that nunchuck over the back of the other arm. If it starts, we'll just grab it like that. Drop the top, flick over our arm and grab. Drop the top, we'll flick over our arm and grab it. We could do it slow like this to start. Drop the top, flick over and grab. Drop the top, flick over our arm and grab. Drop the top, flick over our arm and grab. Drop the top, flick over and grab. So let's do 10 of those. Drop, flick, grab. Drop, flick, grab. That's number 2. Drop, flick, grab. Drop, flick, grab. Number 4. Drop, flick, grab. And we can get faster as we go. Drop, flick, grab. Drop, flick, grab. Drop, flick, grab. When I say flick, we're really pegging, so it's drop, peg, grab, drop, peg, grab, drop, peg, grab. We can get faster as we get good at this. Right. So this is something we can practice. The second part of this that I'd like you guys to learn is just standing with one hand and getting used to your elbow being straight out. Right. So our other hand should be in the middle and we're just bouncing it. See how we bounce it, and you can see, and you'll figure out where is going to be best for your hand, for handing, holding, and distance here to get it to bounce. It should bounce like this. It should bounce like that. So you can see, no matter how fast that's going, it's not going to hurt my elbow. Right? You can see here, bouncing, bouncing. That's the perfect distance for me. So when my hand's under here, this will come up, it'll stop, but it won't hit anything. If I'm too far to the end of the nunchuck, this will come, boom, hit my hand. So it would go, boom, and it could hit me in the face, could hit my hand, could hit anything, especially if you're a bit this way, right? You don't have my big, thick arms. But for this, we just want to get to a point where we can bounce that, right? That is basically an over-the-shoulder bounce, and it should be bouncing actually, not on your shoulder, but on your arm there, just below your shoulder, between your shoulder and your elbow. We see it there, we see it just bouncing. And this is a good way to get used to their wrist movement as well. Now, the second part of that is, and we'll actually cover this in a later video as well, but you can learn it now, and because it's useful for this move, is that we want to go the other way. So we're going over and bounce, over and bounce. Now we can go under and bounce, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. And this will get them used to spinning their wrists. It will take a week of doing this every day to get good at it. You only have to do it for about 10 minutes a day. Kids will love practicing this. You guys will love practicing this in your home. You should be able to do it on both sides. So other side, just the normal chopping and pegging, but with a bounce, and then over, under. Not as good, even Sensei is not as good with his left hand as with his right hand. You can see here, that is it. Now, when they're trying to turn these, one of the hand things that's important is, if we just hold it in a grip like this, it's hard to really turn our wrist. They will get used to, after they've finished the first lesson where we're doing pegging and we're just holding onto it tight and chopping, they will get used to eventually taking these 3 fingers off. So you're only holding on tight still, but with the thumb and index finger. And when you can do that, we can roll our wrist much more easily because these fingers are out. So when we're doing this one, we actually do want to only use those 2. You can still grip a nunchuck very tight doing that. All right, but that's advanced, and it will help us with these rolls. And later on, it'll help us with wrist rolls, okay? So that is the second lesson for our nunchucks today. What have we learned? We've learned our ready stance again, we've covered that. We've gone in and around, so we get to our blocking, which is our first block. You can do that on both sides as well. So hand in is the one you're going to the side of. If you want to go right, we'll do that way, left, that way. The other hand will just follow over. Then we've learned from there that if we want to swap over, we drop the top, peg over, grab, drop the top, peg over, grab. And we've also learned that we can bounce, roll off the top of our shoulder and go both ways. And that is everything from today's lesson. Keep practicing. Can't wait to see you guys in your next class. See all those skills being built over the week. Bye for now.